Hey everyone, this is a review of the Dremel Multimax MM-50 Oscillating Multi-Tool. It's their latest generation of multi-tool. They've got a few iterations of these, but this one's the latest and greatest, so I'm going to go over things they changed about it, what I like about it, and just a few use cases in case you've never used an oscillating multi-tool before. Tasks this thing is useful for, there's a ton of them. It's a really great jack-of-all-trades tool. It's good for flush cutting with a blade like this, or plunge cutting into wood or drywall. You can even do grout removal if you get the right attachment for these, and you can do detail sanding as well. So great all-around tool. It's something really useful to have. I think just about every homeowner should have one. So some lifesaver tasks this thing has been excellent for, just some general home improvement. I had some door trim when I was getting ready to sell my old house. I had to sand, and my orbital sander would not fit in the contours and the angles of that door trim, so this thing did great sanding that down so I could repaint because the paint was in pretty bad condition. So that got everything all smoothed out so I could make it look all nice and pretty. And I didn't have to sand all of that by hand, thank goodness. Another task I've used this for, I didn't do great maintenance on my fence when I lived there, and one of the gates had sunken down and it was actually like buried in the ground. So to cut that, I either had to like redo the hinges, or I could just cut the bottom ½ inch off of that fence gate. And you see that's what I did here. I just put a board to guide me and do a straight line, and just nailed that in with a couple brad nails and pulled it off when I was done. And this thing cut across the bottom no problem. It was really, really useful. You can also use this for trimming things like metal. It's not an ideal scenario for this thing, but if you don't have anything else to cut it, this is soft aluminum bar that I'm cutting. It cuts right through these things. You can even do steel. It's going to take you a lot longer, but for thin steel, this is possible to cut stuff with. All right, so here's the tool up close. They made a couple big changes on this one. First, they put in a 5-amp motor. I think it's the most powerful one they've put in here so far, and it's definitely more powerful than the older MM-20 that I have. That I'll show against this in a second. They've also done a different tool-free blade change design than they've had before. And that's due to the angle geometry here. So they added a 22.5-degree offset here, so the body of this doesn't have to be quite so tall on the front. So your clearance is 2 3/4 inches for this setup right here, which is a lot better than the older designs, which are around 4 inches to get into somewhere. It also keeps your knuckles off of the ground, so you're not going to bang them into stuff like you had problems with the old design. So the old design is like this one. It's a straight body and it sticks out right here. So if you're cutting right up against the floor, you can see your knuckles are in danger the entire time, and the head is also a lot deeper. So that's the older design. This one's not even toolless blade change because it's a much older design. The ones in between there, they added a 180-degree lever that pulls out and then locks down. So with this one, it's not quite that easy because it's not 180 degrees, but the reason you can't do a lever is because of the angled head. They didn't have room for it. So you have less torque when you're doing this, so you've got to turn it more times. I'm assuming it's just a less aggressive screw thread, or maybe they had a cam lock mechanism that needed that extra torque. But in any case, this takes about 4 to 5 turns to loosen enough so you can get one of these off. And to do that, you just turn it, and then you push the button down. Need to turn it a little bit more here. Push the button down, and this gives it enough clearance to pop out. So vibration on this thing is excellent. It's really lower than this older one that I have, the MM-20, so huge improvement there. It's definitely got a lot of power. It's the same oscillation range, which is 10,000 to 21,000 RPM. You got 10 different settings, and that oscillations per minute, that's a 3.2-degree arc back and forth. So you can really actually cut pretty fast with these. You can see me going through some 1x stock here. I think it's a 1x8, just super fast with this thing. So I'm really impressed with the ability this has to keep up. I was cutting just about as fast as I wanted to through that board. This is a really good little tool.